So, a couple of days ago I did a video with some pretty important tips for newbies coming to Monster Hunter Rise with the PS5 and Xbox console port releases. And I got more for you in this vid, but these ones are a little more aimed at Monster Hunter World refugees who already know the basic stuff like keep your farms active, don't sleep on side quests, they're more important than you realize, or chow down before a hunt. Every hunt. So hello again, I am Blunty, and here's my top tips for a smooth and clean start on Monster Hunter Rise for the less than total noob and the PlayStation and Xbox world-born refugees finally invited to the party of this amazingly fun game. If you are an experienced hunter of decent skill, I wouldn't worry about upgrading any armor for low rank, of course. It's really a waste of materials. I tested this a couple of weeks ago, and I easily bopped through all the village stuff without ever once upgrading an armor piece. And of course, low rank armor becomes disposable once you get to high rank anyway. You might need to upgrade your final low rank set a bit, and that's fine. Don't feel shame if you have to do that. You're still learning how they fight, so you might need to take a little extra damage while you're learning the moves, right? That said, once again, if you are an experienced hunter, you can do this easily. In fact, I did it nude as a challenge on stream a couple of weekends ago without any armor at all, and I only fainted once throughout the entire village quest system. And that was to the boss. Obviously, do keep upgrading your weapon though, as that progress carries through to later upgrades seamlessly. Another really important change, mounting works differently too. The game has a tutorial all about how the system actually works at a base level, so I won't crack it open here, but two very important things to know. There's a setting that makes it optional. The default is to automatically mount the monster once the mounting state is triggered and after you hit the monster with a weapon. A lot of players at launch found this really disruptive to their rhythm, so in a later patch we were given a control to make it optional if we wanted. So once the mount state is triggered, you have to manually sheathe your weapon and then tap the button to start the mount. I suggest you use this option. It makes it feel a lot better, no more interrupted combos, and it makes mounting optional if you don't want to do it at all. Some people genuinely don't like the system. I can take it or leave it. Monster Hunter Rise has a series of what they call switch skills. Again, the game will teach you about these at a basic extent, but if you've played older Monster Hunter games, you can think of them a bit like Hunter Arts. They give you some extra moves, extra combos that sort of run on a cooldown. You unlock two sets of these as you progress through the game normally. You get a set when you start. There's another set you can unlock once you've done a certain part of the game, but there are secret ones that the game doesn't tell you about, but the way you get to them is you need to craft or upgrade 7 weapons of the same type for every weapon type you want to unlock those switch skills for. So if you're using Insect Glaive, once you craft or upgrade the Insect Glaive 7 times at the armorer, Utushi down the back of the hub is going to want to talk to you, and that's where the extra switch skills unlock. And you are going to want to do this rapidly, even if you're just crafting throwaway weapons that you're not going to use. Just craft something cheap, throw it away, because these are good switch skills to have. I mentioned this in the newbie video as well. Keep an eye on your hunter helpers, the Palico and Palamute. The Palamute is of course new for Rise, and again the game teaches you about this, but the Palamute is a mountable ride helping you get through areas much faster than you otherwise would. The real bonus tip here is, during a battle you can call your Palamute to you, sheath your weapons, press the Palamute button, and on the Palamute's back, you can sharpen your weapon, so you're no longer locked in place when you need to sharpen. So if you're in a hunt with an especially aggressive monster and you really need to sharpen because your weapon's bouncing off everything, mount on your dog, run in wide circles, you can sharpen on the go in a much safer way. Rise is divided into 2 parts as far as hunt quests go. There's the village quests from Hinoa here in the heart of the village, and the hub quest from Minoto here in the hub. All of this is pretty standard Monster Hunter fare, right? You're quite used to stuff being split up like this. However, world players, the hub does not work like it did back in World. It's not a separate area just for multiplayer. It's a seamless part of the village, and in multiplayer, when you've got a lobby together, everyone shares the same town. You're not restricted to just the hub. Anyone can go to all the locations. A related thing worth getting your head around now is lobbies are 4-player like they usually have been in Monster Hunter games. World was the exception with, 16? 18? I forget. In any case, this was a bit of a sore spot for some world players who came across to the Switch or the PC earlier, but yeah, just so you know, 4-player lobbies. The hub, though, is still where all the multiplayer quest stuff lives. This is where you go to start it up. It's also a nice condensed setup for all your basic needs, from eating to arena to armor and weapon crafting to buddy management to the housekeeper cat who gives you access to the farms and all the other stuff you need. It's really nicely organized in here. Oh, by the way, half of that stuff is up the stairs here, which I forgot about for a while. Like, I saw the stairs there and kind of ignored them, but yeah, you go up the stairs and there's your armor and your box and your housekeeper cat and stuff like that. When I first started playing, I kept running out of the hub and back up to the main armor in the village. It was a big waste of time, and I was a big dum-dum for not realizing. Now, as you may expect, the village quests are all single-player, low-rank hunts, all easier than anything else in the game, and serve as the core progression thread and work like an extended gentle tutorial, warming you up. A lot of the same basic low-rank hunts can also be taken up in the hub, but these are more difficult, giving the monster higher base HP even in single-player mode, and if you do them multiplayer, either by joining someone else or opening your quest up to join, again, this is a bit different from World. You don't have to use the SOS system once you're on a hunt. And also, unlike World, it doesn't matter whether or not someone's seen the initial animations or not. So it's a lot smoother multiplayer experience in Rise. Way smoother. You either join a hunt or you open your own hunt up to be joined before you even leave on the hunt, and everything works beautifully and seamlessly. Another difference to World, the difficulty actually scales dynamically with the number of hunters, stepping up for every hunter and back down again should someone drop out, either deliberately or through accident like a network issue. So, unlike World, you're never going to get boned by some jackass zerping out like a wuss if they get carted even once and things like that. The difficulty dynamically scales at all times in response to how many hunters are currently on the hunt, and if someone drops out, new people can join. Again, unlike World, where if someone dropped out, that slot was still blocked off for whatever reason. And unlike World, it correctly scales to 1, 2, 3, and 4 players, not just 1, 2, and 4. Don't know why World did like that, but they did, and it was very annoying. Long story short, Rise's multiplayer is way better. Now, I know, once you heard the hub quests are harder, your instinct might be to just do those, because you play Monster Hunter to be challenged. You don't want to do the easy quests. But I very strongly suggest you burn the village quests down first. Get them out of the way. Not only are they tied to important progression steps in the story, there's also some village-only quests that actively open up basic functionality, game features, and important stuff like canteen buffs and even weapons. Yes, for a skilled and experienced hunter, these will feel quite easy. Just punch through it, otherwise you'll be hamstringing your own ability to more smoothly progress in the mid-game because you won't have the options and resources you could have had unlocked, like massively increasing your passive farming options. And do not sleep on collecting the Spirit Bird buffs. I'm repeating this tip from the newbie video because it's also a new for world players and very, very important. These buffs to HP, stamina and defense are small individually, but they stack up fast. And max potions do not work like they did in World. Spirit Birds are in fact the only way to completely max out your HP and stamina bars to their ultimate potential. Sure, you won't need that for most hunts, but when it counts, you're gonna want to know how to do it. So do make a point to grab at least a few Spirit Birds as you make your way to the monster, and even do some sidetracking after the monster zones to a different area to collect more as you chase it down. Many Spirit Birds have been placed in a way that provide a sort of natural path to collect a bunch of them, and even give you a shortcut through the zones anyway, and there's other collectibles on the way that you're going to want, which also lie on many of these Spirit Bird paths. Something I hope I don't have to remind too many experienced players about, but you've got your Hunter's Notes, which fully lists down the weaknesses, the elemental weaknesses, the weapon weaknesses, and all the hit zones that are more sensitive, and what parts you get from what part breaks and all that sort of stuff. And related to that subject, another huge change for Rise, at least if you're a World player and came on board with World, do not default to capturing the monster on every hunt. In World, it was pretty much universally accepted that capture was the best option because you get better or more rewards or whatever. That's not how it works in Rise. In Rise, you can get different materials or different odds of getting a material depending on whether or not you kill or capture. So check your Hunter's Notes to see what you are looking to get as a drop, and the Hunter's Notes will tell you the odds of that thing coming from a catch or a capture, so that's when you make your decision. If you're on a multiplayer hunt, the etiquette is to let the quest host decide whether to kill or capture. You'll also be very glad to know there are no big siege monsters in this, like You Know Who and World, which was always the most boring type of quest. Oh my god, I hated those. In this game, you've got rampages instead, which is kind of like a Monster Hunter tower defense thing. Give it a go. A lot of people didn't like them. I was iffy about them at first, but once you give them a go, once you get a sort of system in play, once you figure out a really efficient way to lay out all your little weapons and stuff, and where's the best way to sort of hold up monsters and things, it actually can be quite fun to fight a whole bunch of monsters at once in this kind of system. So, you know, don't bounce off it immediately at first. You're not going to have to spend much time doing these, but do go in with an open mind, because they can be fun if you let them be fun. Oh, and one more thing, the game rolls credits when you're about 2/3 of the way through the thing, through the base story, which is really, really off-putting. I don't know why they did that. It's, you haven't even unlocked high rank before the credits roll. You haven't even done all the village quests before the credits roll. I don't know why they did it like that. It's super weird, but just be prepared for that. The unexpected credits roll. Let it happen, have a laugh. The music is quite good. Let it play. But yeah, I think those are some important things for world players and newbies to know and understand before they go into Rise, to save them a bit of time, to save them a bit of frustration, to be a better team player. Hopefully you found them interesting and useful. I am Blunty. I will catch you next time, and I'll see you on the hunting fields, hunters. And thank you, as always, to the patrons who are scrolling up above there. Above and beyond support is lovely.